Good day, strategy gamers, and welcome back to episode 4 of our Let's Play series, Gary Grigsby's War in the West. This episode will be starting in turn 6. I'm hopeful that in this episode we can kind of come to a conclusion of our campaign in Sicily and start organizing our forces to be ready in the next episode for an invasion of Italy near Rome, where we're currently preparing our landing forces. I don't think in this episode we're going to be able to get our landing prep up high enough to where we need it to be to see that this episode. So the focus is going to be on cleaning up Sicily and then, of course, various aspects of the air war. So speaking of the air war, we are going to make a couple of changes this turn in terms of what the priorities are for the automatic AI creation. And then, as always, we'll go in and we'll edit, review, etc. from there. The tactical air North Europe, we are going to leave it on airfields until we start to actually open up a front in North Europe. It's going to stay like that probably for a while. What we are going to do, though, is take a look at the Mediterranean. And I think this turn and next turn, there will likely be some ground assaults that we'll have in Sicily, a little bit more ground combat than we've seen. So given that, what I'm going to do is change ground support to high, and I'm going to reduce air superiority to medium to just try to balance out those needs a little bit. I'm also going to take the unit up to high, and the ferry, we're going to leave it high. But interdict, I'm actually going to bring down to none. Because at this point, there really aren't that many hexes they need to traverse. I'm not going to be able to cut off any other units from slowing them down, etc. Pretty much what's left in Sicily, we'll have 1 or 2 hexes to travel to then get on the ferry. So we want to focus on the ferry, and we want to focus on the combat and trying to force them back. In terms of the strategic air campaign, we're going to continue with the bombardment of oil and fuel. Ground attack in the south, though, I am going to take this down to none. Because we really haven't had any opportunity to target their airfields within range. I really think we probably need to get some of our airfields a little closer to the front to change that and bring it back online with using our strategic air in the med for attacking their airfields. Strategic air at night is going to stay the same as manpower, so that's no change there. I'm just going to go ahead and set those air directives. Set AI manage air. We'll close out of that. Now we can go take a look at what that did. Probably scrolled out a little too far. There we go. So we have recon, ground attack, and then 2 air superiority missions. The 2 air superiority missions look just fine in terms of their scope and their area. The ground attack, I actually think I'm going to just reduce it a little bit here to perimeter of 2. And yeah, you know, we're just going to move it down by 1 hex like this, I think. Yep, that's good. And then recon, really think we probably want to focus it over here, take it down to 3. Right, we don't need to have recon over here. The entire Strait of Messina is really the focus. So I think that probably takes care of all the air directives that we had here in the Mediterranean. When we look further north, so we're staying pretty similar in terms of what the AI has been doing historically here. I do think I'm going to take my bombing of airfields over here, though, just west of Dortmund, and target these airfields here. And we've actually got some good intel. Well, Eindhoven we had it in turn 2, but here in turn 5, which was just last turn, we see there's 57 fighters here, 20 fighters here. Is there an airbase there? No, there's not. We can zoom in a little. That'll help. Okay. So really, these are kind of the 2 air bases that I'm targeting with it, because what I want to do is the 57 fighters that are based here. This is in Venlo. Yeah, Venlo. Um, they're in a perfect geographical position, right, to intercept all these strategic bombing campaigns that I have going to northern Germany. So I think we're going to focus right in on that area. So we're going to then move these over. Set that. Do it like this, I think. Because Eindhoven did have, on turn 2, some bombers. We didn't have any recon in the last turn. But at the very least, it's still in the grid. And I want to try to take them a little bit away from the cities here, right? I don't want them trying to bomb these airfields where either we don't have recon or recon says there's nothing there. Because in the cities, they're going to have much better AA and flak as defenses. So I'd rather that they run this mission a little bit over more open terrain. And then for recon, we're also going to set a new target for them. And I think what I'll do here is set them a little bit wider in kind of that same area to do that recon. The intensity is high, which is fine. And then we have RAF here. That's a night mission, bombing manpower. This is, yep, same thing, manpower. Down here, I bet it's the same. Yep. Really don't know that I want to be targeting Saarbrücken. I just feel like that's not really as much of a population center. So what if we take that and maybe target and really just kind of concentrate here? Target like Bochum, yeah. Let's do that. But you know what I am going to do is I'm going to reduce the range here to then try to reduce the amount of flight that we have without escort. We'll do that with a couple of ours. This one's actually looking pretty good, so we'll do this to like 7. There we go. And then up here we have the 8th Air Force, and their focus is going to be on the oil and fuel. I think all of these missions look just fine to me. We will narrow down, though, the range a little bit again. Yeah, I think that's good. All right. So there are our air doctrine settings. So we're going to go ahead and execute. And it'll be interesting to see what we take in terms of losses, because in the previous turn we noted that we actually really did not take that heavy of losses. I think we had only lost about 30 pilots or so compared to the previous turns of 60, 90, something like that in the previous turns. But already we're seeing that we had a lot lost to air combat. 360 to flak, 40 operationally. The Axis have a lot of operational losses, it looks like. 37 out of 5,000 sorties. And we have gotten 6 of them on the ground, which is not as high as I would like. But again, getting 6 fighters on the ground, especially early in the week, right? If they were going to run 4 air superiority sorties, that's 24 sorties that they just don't even have the option for anymore. So I think it does have quite a bit of benefit by targeting those. Question is, how many are we losing? So let's actually take a look at that first. So here we have the 2nd RAF Tactical, and they're doing those ground attacks on airfields. So you see we're damaging the air bases. You know, I think we're going to stop with this whole campaign. I just don't feel like we're getting the reward from it at all. So I think we're going to stop running those. We're not doing that much in terms of damage to the airfields, at least not to a number of them. I think we're going to stop this going forward. And then we have the 8th U.S. Air Force. Really, it was this one bombing Misburg that had the most in terms of losses. They did have some good results though too, so there is that. And they did it looks like is probably the fighter escorts did shoot down a number of the enemy fighters, so that is good. We lost 81 here, and this was the night bombing of Kiev. And I just wonder a little bit, right, how is it that... Oh, okay, so I see here. It didn't actually run any sorties for these other two. It just ran them here. That's why we just have losses here. They ran 1,800 sorties here. Yeah. So I really like some of the impact we had there to heavy industry too. I think that's really good to see. And then Tactical Air Force, this would be down in Sicily. We had this ground attack going on. Okay, look at this. So 40, 10, that's positive. At interdict and rail use facts. So that's all good. Happy to see that. Ground support we won't see until our turn. All right. Let's go on now to the ground turn for us. And right off the bat, let's maybe start with the assaults here on the western side of Sicily. So we have a total of 12. Running a little low on supplies, though. Don't know if we want to take that fight. I think we will. We do have 3 to 1. They're cornered. All right. So we were successful. They took 246 losses. We had 32. And ultimately, they all surrendered. So that's a good win for us. Now I'm going to take this unit and we're going to start encircling up here by Palermo. We want to start cutting that city off completely, right? So we'll give this probably one more turn like this, and then we'll actually begin our assault. I think we can bring up this 34th U.S. Infantry reinforcements for that endeavor. We'll have them join here because they're also part of the 6th U.S. Corps. We can take this guy probably off ships. There we go. Bring him north. Now we can start advancing on our enemy here. Let's see. So I think I'm going to take this airborne unit here. Take these 2 airborne units. I'm going to take these. Let's see. Can't build them up. Missing something there. Oh, I have an infantry in there. That's probably my mistake. Okay, well, we'll do that later. We actually had a comment, and I haven't had... Yeah, there's the other airborne. Shoot. So I mismanaged that situation quite badly. We had a great comment in the YouTube that asked, am I going to be building up my airborne units? The answer is absolutely yes. But first I wanted them to get into a situation right where we were a little bit more compact. Having the 3 units spread out gave me some more options in terms of trying to cut off various units they had going to different areas of Sicily here. But now that we're a little bit more condensed down, this is where we're really going to need to have high combat attack values and single hexes attacking. But that freedom of movement of having it split in 3 is really useful early on, I feel. And when we actually do go on to mainland Italy with our landings, when we start that campaign, they will again probably be put into just a single unit. Now we can take some of these guys forward. Maybe we're not going to have enough for the attack this turn. In the north here, certainly I think in the following turns. I mean, maybe here. Yeah, let's do that. 2 to 1. So we got a rout and a retreat. So that caused them some losses. Don't have enough to advance into that hex. This unit here can advance. And then we can look at our rail situation. There's my rail. This guy's going to finish the kind of northern pass here. There we go. And you going to keep going west. Yep, perfect. What we'll do is we'll actually turn north here because we want to have this line connecting to these troops as quickly as we can. And then next turn, we'll turn west towards Trapani, complete this little circuit. We'll keep on going from there. Really, the middle of the island is currently the weak point, but this will at least allow us to get supplies up here to these forces that are in a tight spot when it comes to supplies right now. So that's good news. Now, if we look at our invasion prep, we're only at 12 there, 18, 57, so they're ready to go. 24, 27, 27, okay. So we are getting there. I'd like to do is take like the 4th Canadian Armored, transport them, but I don't know that we're going to have enough port capacity to load them. Yeah, we don't. Okay. So we're probably going to have to wait for one of these larger ports to open up for that. So I think what we'll do is we'll start to maybe take the headquarter units if we can get them loaded there. Start having them move on over. Like this is that 6 US Corps. Oh, insufficient port capacity. Kidding me. Do we have larger ports and I'm missing them? I think we do. 13. Yeah, really 13 is what it's at, and all the others are working on the invasion stuff. Might have to wait a little longer there. Okay, but we continue to bring in troops here from England. We'll take a look at what comes next. We've got this stack kind of ready to go. But I think... yeah, we'll just go ahead with this stack. Well... yeah, we're going to go ahead with it. I'll change that HQ, or all of these HQs, because right now they're all to the UK Home Forces HQ. We'll change all those once we get to the Med, and we'll probably adjust them to something that's under the AFHQ for the Africa headquarters. Okay, so I think that does it for this ground movement turn, so we can go ahead and end the turn. We'll let the Axis forces try to continue and maybe even complete their evacuation from Messina. Doubt they'll make it all this turn, but unfortunately they're probably going to get most of the forces out. Palermo, obviously those Italian troops there will be stuck and they'll surrender when we attack. So yeah, I'm not overly thrilled with how Sicily went. I mean, we didn't have any hiccups, and despite the more difficult scenario conditions. They were not able to really give us too much trouble, so I guess we're probably happy about that. But not like we had any type of crushing victories or anything in the Sicily campaign, which is a little disappointing. It's really tough to have crushing victories in the Sicily campaign. I do feel, though, it's so short, so small, you're so limited. Really, the real test, the real first pivot point of our entire scenario is going to be our landings by Rome. That will really dictate. It'll be an early signal to what our success may or may not be like in this game. Really looking forward to that. It looks like they probably did get most of their forces out there from Messina. Okay, well, I missed the boat there. Let it finish the logistics turn here. Okay. So, end of turn summary. Had men lost, 5 guns, 5 armored fighting vehicles. Air losses, well, again, pretty low. 31 pilots lost, 26 level bombers, 19 patrol. In terms of permanent losses. And really, the pilots is probably the best news for us, right? Because the Axis losing pilots, that's going to be much more damaging to them than it does us, right? We have much larger reserves in terms of that. Most of the level bombers were obviously the B-17s as part of the US 8th Air Force. And then the RAF, probably these Wellingtons, are what was lost in those night bombing raids. Destroyed units will have some here from that western city that I've forgotten the name of that we took over. The Coastal Division, the regiments, and the AA battalions. Right, so those will be permanent losses in terms of units. So we get here to our air doctrine. Going to turn airfield down to 0 for tactical air North Europe. And instead, I think I'm just going to kind of reallocate some of those tactical forces to air superiority. Then we have, for the tactical air Mediterranean, ground support we're going to toss down to medium. Air superiority can stay at medium. Units, I don't know about that. Ferries we're going to bring down to none because I'm pretty sure we don't have anything left there for them to ferry across. Ports and railways we can keep on low. Units will just do medium, I think. And then strategic air, oil and fuel's fine, and manpower's fine. So we'll keep those as is. Sign the new directives. And AI manager. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, they made it out in time. I think this is just fine. I don't have any concerns about that. In Northern Europe, what do we got? Air superiority over Paris. It just doesn't make as much sense to me, to be honest. Yes, we're going to change that. So I want to do it kind of over the Netherlands, I think. We're going to really kind of expand the X range here. Do 6, I think. Again, air superiority here. Change the hex. Change it up to 6. There we go. Okay. And then we've got the 8th U.S. Air Force. These are the oil and fuel bombings. This is over kind of the Hanover area. That's fine. Recon's going to. Oh, we're stretching out all the way to Berlin for nighttime manpower bombing. I don't know about that. I'm not a huge fan of that. Where are the other two targets? Hamburg? Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to go for Berlin right now. So let's instead choose something a little bit more conservative, like, you know, let's just really hit them here. And let's do Hanover with the nighttime bombing too, right? They're already getting it from the US 8th. Let's also do it from the RAF at night. I think that'll work. So go ahead and intern and let that all simulate. So far, losses. I was just about to say losses aren't looking too bad, and then it spikes up like that on me. Okay. The Axe is taking a lot fewer losses this time. Or about half of what they were at the same time in the week last turn. Really, they're taking a lot fewer in air combat. That might be because we've extended the range of the RAF bombing missions, so they're not getting any type of escort. That might be the cause of that. We have 100 operational losses, which again might have something to do with the longer range that we're operating at with some of those missions, I would assume. So let's take a look at this here. The air superiority, we lost 28 and only shot down 3 of the enemy. They were pretty much all air combat losses. Doesn't feel that good. Here we had the 2 bombings by the RAF. This one was in Hanover. It's the same spot that we are targeting with the 8th U.S. Air Force. I actually think that was pretty successful. Manpower wasn't hit quite as hard as I would have liked, but I think it's good to maybe hit that city in conjunction with the 8th, and looks like there was some specific airframe factories were hit, although very mildly. Then their mission a little bit further to the north in Hamburg probably saw a little bit more success in terms of sorties and manpower impact, so that's good. For here we have the 8th Air Force. Yeah, getting some really good numbers here on impacts to their fuel and oil production. Really happy with that. Then we look at, that was just the recon. There's not too much to see here. And then in Sicily, what did we have in terms of the ground attack? Really having good impact on their rail use. So that's something. Okay. Close out there. Then we'll take a look at Sicily. Oh, okay, so they didn't all make it out. There's still 1 unit there in Messina as a bit of a holdout. Let's focus, though, first on wrapping up here at Palermo. So we're going to take all of these forces and attack. Just overwhelming odds. So this should be a very clear victory. Lost 59 men. Pretty acceptable losses for attacking a city of that size. And they, of course, all surrendered because they didn't have anywhere else to go. All right, good news. Then over here by Messina, now advance. Oh, it's an armored unit. We think. Guess we don't know that for certain here. Let's bring up some of the stronger forces we have and see if we can't get an attack this turn. I'd really like to do that before they can evac on their own terms. We don't seem to have the odds. We don't have great intel. We're going to give this a try anyways. No, we were not close. And it's the 16th Panzer Division that's holding out there. So now we do know what it is as well. So we'll take up these forces just kind of in reserve here. Then we can do rail repair. So that's good. Now we've got a bit of a connection here to this northern tip. They can start making their connection going west. So I think we will connect Palermo, then double back west. There we go. And then here, let's see. I think we'll stage the 6 US Corps off of Palermo. And then we'll do the 7th US Army. Well, let's see here. Let's do the 2nd US Corps. So over here to Trapani. Okay, that's good. You can come down here. I have these guys starting to stage in some of those ports. Now in terms of prep, yep, still a ways off, but we're getting there. You're at 76, that's good progress. 32's looking good, 36. 36, so at this rate, I think it will truly be the turn. I think it will be not turn 8, but turn 9 that we might be ready for the invasion. One that I worry about not being ready by then is actually this one, because they're only at 24. You might have to wait 3 turns there then. Okay. Well, let's try to get another one in here, guys. I think we've got the time in the episode, so we're going to end turn. And then that'll put us in a good spot where next episode we can hopefully get to the content of actually landing near Rome. I think that'll work out well. Let the Axis do their turn here first, though. So here we're going to see a lot of our kind of air intercept and such. We'll see how effective that is. It's looking pretty good so far. Every loss we've had has been operational. Every loss they have had has been operational. That just doesn't feel right. Both sides, every airframe they lost was operational. Something's not right about that, I think. That's just shocking. Let's see here. I'm sure they'll take the 16th Panzer out of Messina. Just makes sense that they would. But who knows? This AI can be full of surprises sometimes. Okay, now we get to our logistics phase, and then we'll be able to go through our air directives again. All right. So for ground losses, really we had 668. I think this is all kind of a fog of war intel thing, because surely they've had ground losses, but we're just not seeing them. Right? There's just no way that they had 0. Air losses, and even fewer pilots lost, 25, and they actually went up to 38. So that is a trend we want to see continue for as long as we can. Level bombers really being the bulk of our losses. Still seeing the torpedo bombers, probably from the port strikes, I would assume. Then destroyed units would be we disbanded. Provisional U.S. Corps. Okay, turn 7. This is where they lost those units in Palermo. Okay. Air directives. We're going to cut back unit to none. And we're going to do railway medium. We're going to do port medium. And I think we're going to hit rail yard too. And then we're going to go to low ground support, keep air superiority at medium. The strategic priorities I'm pretty happy with, so we'll leave those. That manage AI, perfect. Let's see what that made for us. Yep, so I think this is fine because this is still where the bulk of their forces are, is right around the Strait of Messina. They didn't do anything in northern Italy, which is fine. Look over here, again, we have these air superiority missions over Paris. No, I don't know what that's about, so I'm going to let them run that, and maybe I can just learn something from it, because I'm not entirely sure why they're putting them there. Again, I'm quite certain that I don't actually want to bomb Saarbrücken here. So this one I'm actually just even going to cancel. And we'll just fly these other two that the RAF had planned in Hamburg. And where is this? Cleve. No, I don't want to do it there. We can do Dortmund or something larger, but we're not going to do it there. We'll have to just shrink down the size so we limit the impact in terms of what we're doing outside of fighter escort range. And we'll continue with the 8th Air Force in Hanover to try to finally, hoping we can get to kind of like that ultimate 90s percentage of damage to their oil and fuel production there. Go ahead and execute that. I'm not going to speak too soon this time because that just really did not turn out well for me. Oh, I didn't even notice the weather had changed to rain. I should have looked at the weather forecast in the previous turn too. That's a mistake on my part. Because that's really raising, it looks like, the operational losses number. 60 operational losses halfway through the week. We are doing better than the previous term in terms of total losses. So that is some good news. Okay. So we have air superiority. This is the one that was around Paris. And I don't see anything special here, so I think we're not going to let them keep doing that. I think we're going to keep rerouting them in the flight path of where we're sending our bombers. I think it just makes more sense. Dortmund, yeah, this looks really good. Had half-track damage, heavy industry damage. That was really good. Glad we did Dortmund. Then we get to the 8th U.S. Air Force, and this is around Misburg. Didn't quite hit the 90 I was hoping for, but 86, 82 are not bad numbers, so that's good. We also had some here. Oh, these were the recons. That's fine. And then we have the Tactical Air Force. This is in Italy. These guys were targeting rails, ports, etc. Looks like that went pretty well. This rail yard, 94% damage. That's just fantastic news. Good. Good. Overall, very happy with that result. Go to our ground movement phase. Oh, they did leave the 16th Panzer there. Okay. Okay. Let's route 7th U.S. Army down here. Get them all situated. Actually, I'm going to do the rail repair first. So that way I can go through the city without having to move units with the ships per hex. Go through here. It'd be nice then to have this all connected. Then they can go to the middle of the island and help finish all the rail yards there. Not rail yards, excuse me. Rail yards are something different. I need to be a stickler for that terminology because they are different things. Keep going here along the north coast, which will then eventually allow us to link Messina and Palermo in terms of supplies. Good stuff. And Panzer divisions at a 74. So we're at 1-to-1 odds, if that. Oh boy. That's tough. I think I wait another turn because we got a lot of units here that are low supply. Like you look at this. 51% general supplies, 73% ammunition, 66% ammunition, 63% general support. We're at least going to wait another turn. Let's look at our landing prep. Here we're only at 20, 30, 90, 40. So I think we have at minimum another 2 turns here. The one that's at 20 is really the biggest worry for me, because I don't think they'd be ready in 2 turns. So let's maybe take a look at where they were going to land. Don't know that it's the 19th Army, so this would be the 8th British Army. Ooh, this all says 19th Army Zone, so I don't know that that's actually telling me anything. What if I do change? That might reset the progress. Oh, I know what I can do. I can see right here what the hex is. 139, 259. Is it right here? Maybe misread it. 138, 259, is that what it was? Yeah, 138, I misread it. Okay. So they're at the southern tips. The question is, what would it look like if we didn't attack there? The really unfortunate thing is that that's actually one of the ports that we wanted. Right, so that's of huge benefit to get that. But for the sake of time, we might just have to go for it, because I don't know if we want to delay our invasion of Rome by, say, 3 weeks for that one force to get higher prep. Because what's going to happen is they're only going to get more fortified in their positions as the forces from Sicily reallocate themselves along the coast here. So I think that's going to be a decision that we'll have for the next episode that we do, guys, in just what do we want to do? Do we want to go ahead with only 5 landing sites, or do we want to wait an extra 2 or 3 turns and have a total of 6 landing sites, kind of as we had originally planned? We do need to go up here to England and make sure that we take and move another stack of units to the Med. So that's done. Then I can take you, move you into Bristol to be ready for the next wave to go across. Now we'll hit end turn. Let the Axis forces have their day in the sun here. And then we'll call the episode to a close, I think. And then we'll be all geared up and ready to go for hopefully the invasion in the next episode of the series. That will be a very, I will be sweating. I will have sweaty palms as we're sitting there watching those battles simulate in the next episode, because that is going to be really nerve-wracking. Fun. It will be fun, but nerve-wracking as well. Going through here, again, something just doesn't feel right about this. All the losses there are all operational. Oh, okay, finally 2 air combat losses for the US. But otherwise they were all operational, and it just doesn't feel right. I can't imagine that they didn't find any enemy planes in the air against each other. But during our air phase they did. That just wouldn't make sense to me. Letting them go through their movement here. Looks like they might be keeping the 16th Panzer there in Messina another turn. It's interesting. Okay. Well, we go through our logistics phase here and we're just about done. We'll get to see what the results were for the turn too. Okay, so no new losses there. Air losses. Okay, so we went up that turn to 41. Axis had 26. So we got a little more aggressive there, and it looks like it was with our fighter bombers. So what did we do differently this turn versus the previous turn? The only thing I can think of really is it might have been a result of, in southern Italy around Messina, we had shifted our focus to railway, rail yard, and stuff like that, instead of being more unit and ground support focused. That's all I can really think about. Looks like we also had some incremental losses in torpedo bombers because we upped our attacks on ports too. And there's probably just more flak in those situations as well. So I can kind of understand all of that. What's surprising to me is that the bulk of the losses that the Axis have are in the level bombers, not in fighters. But very well. Ground losses. Yeah, 649, 8, 2. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching through this episode, guys. Can't wait for the next one. Thank you for your support of the channel, the series, the Gary Grigsby Games, as always. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please toss them in the comments section below. And as always, Strategy Gamers, hoping you have yourselves an excellent day. Bye now.